I remember when I was steeped in disordered eating, and yeah, I just had a really perfectionist mindset. And I remember during that time how out of control around food I felt. Like I really felt like I had no control around eating, especially when the clock struck eight. Like for some reason, 8 o'clock at night, when everyone was going to bed, when the day was winding down, that's when my cravings felt so intense. And I remember, like clockwork, I'd go over and I'd crack open the freezer. I'd dig around to the back where I'd hidden the pint of ice cream and I'd pull it out and I'd just start eating it. And I don't even know if I really even wanted it. Like, if I really thought about it, do I want this ice cream? Do I want the taste of this ice cream on my tongue? Is this something I want right now? I don't even know if it was really that. It was just a pull inside of me, a rebellion inside of me to have that ice cream. And I'm going to tell you, looking back now, I realized the reason that pull for that ice cream was so damn strong was because I was trying to perfect every moment of my day. I was trying to keep my eating all day long perfect. And even beyond my plate, I just wanted my moments to be perfect. I tried to be perfect all the time, and it was so exhausting. And that little moment in the evening when I was by myself, having that food I felt like I shouldn't have, it felt like a moment of rebellion. And there was something within that moment that I actually needed, that my nervous system actually needed. And so that was a little way that I was actually taking care of myself the best I could in that season. Now, continuing to do that repetitively over and over again. Sorry, I got a cough. Never there. I'm letting go of perfection, but continuing to do that repetitively over and over again isn't going to leave me feeling well, right? And of course, I needed to address the root of what was going on. But really, during that season, that was the way my nervous system was really trying to take care of me, right? Because I needed to let go of perfection. I wasn't doing it until the evening came. And then the ice cream was my way to have that taste of letting go of perfection. So today on the Peaceful Plate podcast, we're talking about letting go of perfection. We're going to I'm going to share how it impacts the way that we eat. You saw my little situation with that, which was a very real situation I walked through. Maybe you can relate to it. We're going to talk about how perfectionism impacts our relationship with exercise and how we show up to exercise. And of course, how perfectionism impacts our nervous system and our ability to just live a rich, deep, juicy, sweet life, which we all want. We don't want to skate upon the surfaces, right? And go through the motions and plate and paint a plastic face on, right? No, we want to be in the mess of it. We want to embrace it. We want to live it. And we want to really be able to enjoy and savor our moments. And so the only way we can do that is if we're willing to let go of perfection. And I've had to do this over and over and over and over again in my life. And again, I would consider myself a recovering perfectionist. I definitely lean more toward Eileen. Come on, Eileen. Sorry, my name is Eileen. So I definitely, if you do not know that song, you're going to think I'm crazy. Welcome to the Peaceful Plate podcast. But I definitely, you got to look it up. It's Come on, Eileen by Dexy Midnight Riders. All right. So if you look that up, then this will make sense to you. But crap, now I gotta think where I was. Oh, so I lean towards that perfectionist mindset, always have. And it's a challenge for me to release that. I also, all my life, have struggled with anxiety and OCD. And so what I share today, please know that if I can do this, you can do this. If I can have a more relaxed mindset with food, exercise, and my life, if I can let go of perfectionism with food, exercise, and my life, you totally can too, right? Because these were challenging pieces for me. But I'm going to tell you, they are so foundational. If you've been struggling with your relationship with food, if you've been struggling with your relationship with your body, if you've been struggling with relationships with yourself, relationships with others, then I would encourage you to really take an honest look about the perfectionist mindset. Are you seeing that come out in your eating? Are you seeing that come out in your movement? Are you seeing that come out just with how you interact with others? And then I would invite you to become curious about it, right? Without judgment, from a place of kindness and compassion, can you become curious about what would it feel like? How would your life shift if you released the perfectionist mindset? If you gave yourself permission to be the messy, amazing, incredible human that you are, all right? And so, yeah, let's start with food. All right, let's start with food because that's what I do. I'm an intuitive eating counselor, right? Let's start with food. So when we have a perfectionist mindset with food, it might look like having that all or nothing black and white thinking around food. So it's like, I mean, it can go in so many directions. Let's use the example of I have to eat clean. All right, that can mean different things to different people, right? We're not here to argue that today, but it could be like, I have to eat clean. And so you eat clean all day. I'm using air quotes for those listening to this in the Peaceful Plate podcast. I'm also posting this to my YouTube channel. So if you want to see visuals, that can be fun. Just I'm at Food Freedom Yogi on YouTube. And so maybe you're eating clean all day long, whatever that means for you. And then, this donut crosses your path, baby. And it's like, I don't know what kind of donut you like, but the kind of donuts I like would be something like a brioche donut situation. And so the donut crosses your path, you have some of it, and then you're like, shit, like I've totally failed. Like today is a complete waste. You start beating yourself up. And yeah, that doesn't feel good. That's an example of perfectionism in eating, the all or nothing mindset. I have like an itchy throat. Man, I hope I'm not getting sick. So that is a perfectionist mindset with eating. It's that all or nothing, that black and white thinking. And that doesn't feel good. And that actually sets us up to rebel. Just like my situation from the beginning of this episode. I was in a season of really all day long. I was eating really clean. I was like, wouldn't have anything, that was processed, blah, 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 blah. And I was also being really rigid in my life with that perfectionist mindset, putting on a front, right? So that I appeared a certain way and then I could please people and everybody was happy except for me, right? And that was so exhausting. So that was happening off my plate, but it was also happening on my plate with how I was eating, right? And that got dry and that got boring and that got old really damn quick, really damn quick. And that's why in the evenings I was turning to the ice cream, right? Because I could do that when nobody was looking. It was my little way to rebel, my little way to get that fix of freedom. But that's not really freedom, is it? That's not really freedom because there's so much shame that encompasses and encircles that hiding, that feeling like I have to also suppress a part of who I am. I am not perfect at all. I swear sometimes, I say things I probably shouldn't say. I make a mess. I'm not a perfect human and no one is. And I think when we feel like we have to put that front on, it's so exhausting and depleting. And that will impact the way we show up to our plate. So if you are finding yourself eating in the evenings, nothing wrong with having a snack and watching some Netflix. Okay, I do that every week. I have like a little Netflix snack out party, right? My husband and I, we get our cozy on, we watch our favorite show, we eat some snackies. But even within that can be a mindful event, right? Because it can be enjoyed with somebody, or you can do that by yourself. But that's very different from almost that autopilot, almost that like pull. I had that pull to the freezer. It's almost like that pull that you feel like you can't break. It's just happening. And then there's this shame that encompasses it. That is a very different experience. So if you feel like it's happening every night and it feels shame-based and it feels like something you have to hide and you can't talk about, I want you to become really curious about what does the rest of your day look like? Right? Are you trying to eat super clean or eat a certain way or whatever that is? Or maybe you're not, but in your mind, you're shaming yourself all day long and judging yourself all day long. And that can, sorry, I'm going to do my coffee thing again. Cough. I'm getting sick. My kids are getting me sick. So that can, even the mindset alone comes from perfectionism, right? And that can set up the evening eating, the binge eating, the feeling out of control and all that. So I want you to become curious from a place of compassion and kindness, No room for judgment here. We're leaving judgment at the door because judgment blocks our ability to create lasting change. We want to bring the compassion. We want to bring the kindness. We want to sit with it. You can do any of my breathwork practices that I post here on the Peaceful Plate podcast to sit with some of this stuff and process it. Our body does hold stored memory, stored tension, stored trauma. And one of the ways to release that through the body, to release that, is through the breathwork practices. So definitely do those. But that is an example of how perfectionism can impact our eating. And I have 100% walked through that and have experienced that for myself. And now I want to talk about how perfectionism can show up with our relationship with exercise. So whether you are currently exercising on a regular basis or you're in a season of screw it, like you just like there's a block, you don't even know what the block is, but there's some block between you and saying yes to exercise. Either way, that may be a result of the perfectionist mindset around exercise, meaning in your mind, and I 100%, dude, I struggled with this, the perfectionist mindset with exercise. Exercise was probably one of the last elements to heal when it came to food, exercise, and body. Well, maybe body was right there with it too. Actually, I still have elements of healing around my body that I'm doing. So, but with exercise, it would be that like only certain exercises for certain lengths of time count, air quotes count, because it all does count. But we have this mindset of certain exercises, certain length of time. That's what it has to be in order to count. We almost feel like we have to like check the box each day, or for whatever amount of days that your brain deems you're worthy, like would have to do to be worthy, right? So maybe it's 5 days, 4 days. I don't know what it is, right? But we set these little things up in our mind to try to perfect our exercise routine. And what can happen with that is we can start to rebel against that. So rebellion could look like just not doing it at all, like just like, screw it, I ain't even going to do it. But rebellion, this is really interesting. And I was in both seasons. Rebellion can also look like abuse towards our body, where we're doing it, but there is no joy in it. All joy is sucked out, and we're going through the motions, and we're really pushing ourselves, and we're not checking in with how we're feeling or anything. So perfectionist mindset with exercise, again, it's that all or nothing, black and white rigidity. And it can really lead to a block in exercise where we don't even want to do it, or it can lead us to be in a season of exercise where we're almost using it as a form of abuse. And I've been in both seasons. I've been in seasons in which I definitely abused my body. I still have PTSD from the abuse of exercise, where I would not allow myself to rest. I would push, and I'd get so exhausted, so depleted. I mean, I still have mornings that I wake up, and I've been like, it's been years since I've done this to myself, but I will have mornings in which I wake up and my heart starts beating so fast and I start to get anxiety because of all the past mornings, all the mornings in which I forced myself to go to the gym. Like, I know that might sound crazy to you, but it was really such a rigidness about it and such a fear of not completing the workout that my body stored the trauma, right? My body pushed it down, and I still can feel that when I wake up sometimes and I have that jolt of, oh my gosh, like, and then I'm like, dude, we don't have to go to the gym. We don't have to go to the gym. And I just lay in my bed and I do some breathing, and then I make an intentional decision about, I want to move my body. How could I move my body today that would feel life-giving for me? So I could go to a gym and have no issues. Actually, I have. It's not even that. It was the forcefulness of like having to get up at the ass crack of dawn. I'm talking like 4:30 in the morning. If you work out that early and you enjoy it, that may be freedom for you. But I abused it. I pushed it. I really pushed it to the point where it was no longer fun. And I was like, and I wasn't eating enough. And so there was so many things going on. Please know I'm never judging anything you do, because our stories are different. Our journeys are different. We are different. We think differently. What's freedom for one person may feel like a prison for another, and vice versa. But for me, yeah, my body still remembers that. So that is one area of when I talk about I'm still healing from PTSD, that's one area of PTSD that I am still healing from, is the exercise abuse. And releasing that and helping my body feel safe with movement. And if you follow me on social media, Instagram at, my gosh, I forgot my Instagram handle. I really didn't. It just takes me a minute. at Food Freedom Yogi. I told myself I was going to talk slower in my podcast episodes, and I'm not. But at Food Freedom Yogi, I try to really show that movement can be playful, that it doesn't have to be rigid, that we can have fun with it. And I really do. I really don't have any rigidity around my movement at this point, and all movement counts. And so if you find yourself stuck in that perfectionist mindset around exercise, you're either feeling like, shit, I have a block there, and it's feeling really challenging to say yes to exercise, or maybe you're realizing, wow, am I abusing my body? Like, am I pushing myself more than maybe is good for me? A little bit of push, right? A little bit of push is healthy. Too much, though, right, isn't. So I hope that helps you get a little curious about it. Again, from a place of kindness, compassion, non-judgment. That's what this is all about. Anything else will block it. Judgment does not help us. It just brings us back into that old mentality. And so think about that. Maybe sit with that for a little bit about, if I am holding on to perfectionism in this area of exercise, what would it look like to release that? Would that be maybe saying yes to inviting some play into my movement, allowing all movement and all lengths of time to equally count? So just think about what that might mean for you. So lastly, I want to chat just a little bit about perfectionism and the impact it has on our nervous system. So our nervous system is always impacted with everything we do, right? At all times, your nervous system is impacted. In this moment, as you're listening to this or watching this, your nervous system is impacted. Hopefully it's impacted for the better through co-regulation, hopefully, but but our nervous system is always impacted. So when we walk a tightrope in life, and that is what perfectionism does, it requires us to walk this tightrope that we've created. We've created it from the view we have, the ideas we think, the ways we think we should live. Maybe it's also created from expectations from others, but we still filter that through our own mind, right? And so we create this tightrope, a perfectionist mindset. We create a tightrope in our work, in our life, in our parenting, whatever it is. We create this tightrope and we start walking along it. That is really exhausting for our nervous system. Nothing wrong with having goals, having intentions, having a path to follow, having a journey, blah, 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 blah. Nothing wrong with that. But we also have to give ourselves permission to step off it, to get a little messy, to make a mistake, to fall down, and then maybe get back on it. When we are rigid and we're trying to perfect every step, and then we're beating ourselves up for saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, appearing the wrong way, whatever. When that happens, our nervous system gets sent into a sympathetic state, right? Sympathetic activation. And so sympathetic activation isn't bad, but when we are in a chronic state of sympathetic activation, that's definitely not healthy. And that can actually then push us into a freeze state. But the reverse is also true. The more that you allow freedom, flexibility, you release the perfectionist mindset, you say something and you're like, shit, I didn't really mean to say it that way, but I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to just be like, hey, I'm human. What am I going to do? Like, I'm a human. Like, there's not much I can do about it. Sorry. That helps your parasympathetic nervous system come online, right? When you release that perfectionist mindset, you say, hey, I'm a messy human. I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to try to show up with excellence. I'm going to do my best to like speak life-giving words and do things the way that's really going to help others, or whatever it is for you, right? I don't know. I'm just like speaking. There you go. Letting go of perfection. I'm human. But then when you let yourself be a human, man, your nervous system is like getting a big old hug, because you are human. You are messy. I am too. We're not perfect. We're not wired to be perfect. And so when we try to walk the line of perfectionism, it is so hard and so depleting for our nervous system. And I think this is where a lot of our diseases come in. I think this is where a lot of stomach issues come in. I think this is where a lot of headaches come in. I think this is where just a lot of sickness comes in. We're striving so hard for perfectionism when it's unattainable. Like, it's not going to happen. So we're constantly living our life on this tightrope that doesn't even exist. and then we fall off it or we make a mess, and then we spend 2 weeks beating ourselves up, not feeling good enough. So, my invitation to you is give yourself permission to be the messy, amazing, incredible human you are, right? If you do something wrong, apologize for it, but don't spend eons beating yourself up for it, right? You're probably going to make another damn mistake, right? And so we have to give ourselves permission to be human because that is what we are. And until we can do that, our nervous system is going to be in a chronic state of stress, right? And that's not what we want. We want our nervous system to be in that ventral vagal state, that regulated state, that grounded state. And if you are working on healing your relationship with food, exercise, and your body, it is imperative that you learn how to shift into that ventral vagal state, that place in which mindful eating becomes effortless, that place in which intuitive eating becomes effortless, that place in which you can reflect without judgment towards yourself and the decisions you make in life, that place in which you can really set and uphold boundaries without feeling guilt or like you shouldn't. So being in that ventral vagal state really is important. And that's why I bring yoga therapy practices into everything I do. That's why yoga therapy is such an important part of the Nourished Beyond the Plate membership. If you do not know about the Nourished Beyond the Plate membership, I'll put a link in the show notes. You can check it out. The doors are currently closed, but you can join the wait list if it feels aligned for you. And yeah, so I hope that this little short, sweet episode encouraged you. I hope that you let go of perfectionism today. If that's something you have a lean towards, like I do, I hope that you can find ways to release it. Give yourself permission just to be the amazing, incredible, oh, so messy human that you are. And I hope to connect with you next week right here on the Peaceful Plate Podcast.